Hi, everyone, and welcome to our presentation on ethical decision-making and social responsibility in business leadership. Our group is consist of Aruna, Diksha, Chialin, Jasprit, and myself, James. And today we're going to explore how leaders can make the right choices while managing businesses in complex real-world situations. As you all know, today's business leaders are not just responsible for making profits or reaching targets, they're also expected to do what's right for their people, their communities, the environment. And in this presentation, we'll look at how ethics and responsibility influence leadership decisions, explore real-life examples, discuss decision-making tools, and reflect on what we've learned throughout this journey. Let's start with a simple question. What does it mean to be a responsible leader? Not just about being in charge, about guiding a team or organization with strong values, even when it's hard. Our goal today is to understand how ethical values shape the choices that leaders make every day. Whether it's laying off staff, handling a public controversy, or managing diversity in the workplace, the decisions leaders make can have a big impact. Ethical leadership means doing the right thing, not just the easy thing. It helps build trust, encourages loyalty, and sets a strong example for others to follow. So, throughout this presentation, keep in mind this key idea. Ethical leadership is not just about making rules, it's about building trust and resilience in the long run.
Hi, I'm Aruna. I'm going to continue this presentation from slides 3, which is ethics and social responsibility in business. Now, let's break this down. Ethics is about understanding right and wrong, it's a moral compass. Social responsibility is about looking at how our decisions impact others and choosing paths that are responsible and fair. When companies act ethically and take responsibility, they build public trust. Think of companies known for doing the right things. People support them not just for their products, but because of their values. Newbert and colleagues pointed out that ethical leadership sets the tone for organizational culture. When leaders consistently model strong values, it shapes how everyone else behave and decides. Ethics isn't just a personal matter; it's something that influences whole team and organization. Let's move on to ethical decision making lens. Making ethical decisions starts from within by checking our personal values and who we are as people. That's what the character lens is about. Its focus is on qualities like humanity, honesty, and integrity. Helzer et al. Emphasizes that leaders who act based on these trends are more likely to stay true, true to their values under pressure. Keynes talk about the idea of inner alignment, ensuring that your action match your beliefs. This is especially important when stakes are high, like in crisis or when jobs are at risk. Ethical decisions aren't always easy, but the character lens remind us that staying grounded in our values help us lead fairly and thoughtfully.
Thank you, Aruna. A real life case that shows the complexity of the ethical leadership is the Israel Folau controversy. He was a professional rugby player who was dismissed after posting religious views on social media. The question was, did Rugby Australia do the right things by protecting their inclusive values, or did they go too far by punishing someone for their personal beliefs? Osborne and the Itchfield explain the social media has blurred the line between public and the private speech. making this issue harder to manage. This case is a reminder that ethical leadership often involves trade offs. Leaders must weigh their values, public expectations, and the broad impact of their decisions. Ethical leadership in action. Ethical leadership isn't about what you say, it's about what you do. It means being consistent, transparent, and accountable in how you lead. Kim and Lee explained that ethical leaders did not just affect decision, they shape how teams think, communicate, and work together. Such as like in healthcare and the other high-tech industries. Ethical isn't optional; it's critical for building trust and saving lives, lifestorms. Shows that transparent leadership impact team morale and the professionals. When leaders are open and fair, employees feel safe, more motivated, and more committed to share goals. So when leaders is grounded in value, its possibility affect the entire organization.
Hi, this is Jaspreet. I would like to talk about the theory to practice. How do the leaders make ethical decisions? In the practice, ethics leadership often involves choosing the structured decision making framework such as rational decision making models, and I choose the 8-step process. These tools supposedly to by guiding them through each stage of decision making process, gathering the relevant fact, considering possible outcome, and selecting the most ethical course of actions. Their structure approaches help reduce the personal basis and mitigates emotional reactions. However, effective leadership also demands empathy and deep understanding of the how decisions affect others. When combined with the strong personal and organizational value, this framework unable to make fair and balanced and effective decisions even challenging situations. So in this theory, I would like to say these tools guide to a step-by-step ethical resourcing and also help the evaluate constitution and reduce the basis. Empathy is also key decision affect the real lives and combination of framework with strong value promoting fairness, balance, and reliance under the pressure.
Based on what we've explored, here are some recommendations for organizations that want to strengthen ethical leadership. First, provide regular ethics training. This helps teams understand what's expected and how to act in difficult situations. Second, use structured decision-making tools, like the models we just talked about, to guide consistent, fair decisions. Next, lead with integrity. This means being honest, accountable, and living the values you promote. Also, encourage open communication. When people feel safe to speak up, it's easier to spot problems early and make better choices. And finally, evaluate ethics regularly, especially in high-risk areas like finance, healthcare, or public relations. This helps leaders stay aligned with both values and responsibilities. To wrap things up, ethical leadership is not a buzzword. It's a long-term investment in trust, resilience, and integrity. When leaders are guided by strong values and supported by sound decision-making tools, they can handle even the toughest challenges with confidence. In today's world, people expect more from their leaders, not just results, but respect, fairness, and honesty. So if we want to build organizations that last, we need leaders who aren't just smart, but who also do what's right. Thank you for listening, and now we'll move on to our self-reflection slides, where each group member will share what they've learned from this project.
Hi everyone, James again. And in this project, I mainly took the role of researcher and contributed heavily to writing the analysis section. One of the biggest challenges for me was managing my time while trying to find relevant academic sources and making sure that everything flowed well across the group sections. We all have different writing styles, so it was sometimes difficult to bring it all together into one cohesive voice. But what really stood out for me is learning about the character lens from Hessler and the colleagues. It made me think more deeply about how our values shape the decisions we make, not just in theory, but in practice. I also learned how important it is to support others in a group. Leadership isn't always about directing. Sometimes it's about stepping in when needed, encouraging others, and making sure that we stay aligned with our goals and our values. Overall, I feel I've grown not just academically but also personally, especially when it comes to recognizing the value of ethical leadership in a team setting.
Hi, I'm Aruna. My self reflection of this group assignment is actually, I was mainly responsible for this presentation. I was challenging to find the right tone, sometime too casual, other time too formal. Through feedback and practice, I improved myself. Newbert et al.'s concept of ethical influence helped me understand that how you communicate values matter. The project taught me the importance of group input and how ethical leaders can be shown through clear, respectful communication. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Diksha. In this project, I lead the coordination schedule, meeting, and the setting deadline, and also keeping everyone on track. It wasn't always easy, especially balancing different time zone and my responsibility at work and my studies. But I realized that clear communication and the consistency are key to good teamwork. The idea of ethical intensities is really stood me out. It helped me understand how every small decision can have a big ethical impact. This experience taught me that leadership doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it's just helping others stay on track and feel supported is a powerful form of leadership.
Hi, I would like to talk about my self-reflection. Is just with here, and the role when we are doing this project that time that there's too many questions in my mind. What I always ask them, the project was making connecting between academic research and case study. At first, I felt like overwhelmed because we have to go through too many theories, and I was not sure where I have to start, but I asked my friends colleagues, so they helped me to do how to do it. But once I began asking the question and engaging with the team, it become easier for me. Once I idea really stood out me too, from the idea ethical decision making should with the personal values, and it helps me to understand how the theory applies on the real life as well. Whenever I was experienced in this assessment, that time I gained the confidence, learned that it's okay, have to be answered at the beginning. What's the matter? Staying open, asking the questions, learning through it the process, and that was okay for me to starting the points, everything at the start, and learning outcomes through this project. So decision making made me the click. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Emma. I work mainly on editing our final report. My job was to make sure all the parts fit together, that the language was clear, and that the tone was consistent. It sounds simple, but it was a real challenge, especially when we had too much content or when we had to trim down sections that others had worked hard on. One ethical concept that really stood out to me was the justice view of ethics, especially around fairness and communication. I didn't want anyone to feel like their work wasn't valued, so I was double checked before making edits and kept communication open. I've learned that acting is not just a technical skills. It's also about respecting everyone's contributions. This experience reminded me that leadership doesn't always mean giving instructions. It can also mean quietly supporting others, ensuring that everyone feels included, and making sure the group's final report truly reflects everyone's effort.